Hey guys, I'm Alisha.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jazzy. This is Salem. And we are the Girlies that read.
Woo!
Anyone would think that the cats are yours.
But
how you always have them in the video.
Hold on.
You can leave him there. This is my demon child. I had one beautiful angel that I was convinced me to have a second one, and like the cliche TikTok, demon spawn. Destroys everything. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway.
We are here with a new book. We have a new book. It's not a new book, but a new book to discuss.
Yes, we do.
And Alicia's going to tell us all about it.
All right. Well, we've got The Knight and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. It starts off in the Stonewater Kingdom series, the first book of a duology, and it's a dark gothic fantasy world ruled by ancient gods known as omens. And at the heart of this world is a cathedral built around magical spring waters where diviners, young women raised from childhood as foundlings, are ritually drowned to glimpse visions from the gods. Six, our main character, yes, she's named as a number, has spent nearly a decade living this strange, clustered life alongside her five sisters in divination. So under the strict rule of their abbess and watched over by gargoyles, they perform these divining readings of omens and prophecies for whoever's rich enough to pay for it. When a new king arrives seeking divine favour, Six is thrust into danger. Soon after his visit, her fellow diviners begin disappearing one by one. So they vanish without trace, and desperate to find them, she is forced into an alliance with the knight that she initially met through the king, and they had sort of a rivals, just enemies situation going on. Didn't really appreciate each other's stance on everything. Yes.
No common ground to be found.
No.
Absolutely not.
So his name is Rory. He seems to neither respect her faith nor the diviner's power. Together and joined by one of the cathedral's oldest and oddest gargoyles, they set out across the kingdom to uncover the truth behind the disappearances and the strange stirrings of the omens. As Six leaves the cathedral for the first time, her world pretty much breaks open. She begins to see how much she's been sheltered and manipulated, and the journey becomes as much about finding her sisters as it is about discovering who she really is beyond her duties as a diviner. Along the way, she and the knight slowly move from hostility to reluctant trust or to something deeper, but the romance never quite lands. It's part of like a subplot rather than the main plot of the story, which was a really nice addition along the way. But it feels much more organic. The novel blends magic, faith, and mystery with a touch of romance. The world building, gods, holy springs, and divine visions has very intriguing pieces, and the pacing leans in a quite fast-paced structure where we go from omen to omen, learning about the different powers and the different dynamics between the characters that we meet along the way. The story ends with quite the cliffhanger. No predictions of where it's going to go.
I have no clue.
And
again,
we will... Sorry, what?
You can say that again. Quite the cliffhanger.
Quite the cliffhanger, absolutely. And no predictions for the next one, so we'll be discussing that shortly. But yes, the story's central idea, a sheltered woman stepping beyond everything she's ever known to face a dangerous, God-touched world, has a lot of potential to develop into one of the best duologies possibly to exist. Amen.
Amen.
Best duel. Wow. That is some high predictions.
I mean,
But then again, it is Rachel Gillig, so queen.
but also
Rachel
like,
Gillig, and also like her previous duology was unique in its own sense. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but it was unique in its own sense, and I have high.
Well, actually, funny you say that, like, unique in its own sense. The whole magic system, when it first came out, I was like, oh my god, it's so unique. No one's ever really done anything. How many books have come out now with magical fantasy cards? Since.
Yeah.
So many. Keeps popping up. I'm like, unique magic system. I'm like, well, it's not unique anymore because people keep knocking off the idea, which is what people do in fantasy.
Yeah. That's like, it's also like, for example, you know the movie Breakfast Club?
Yes, great movie.
Great movie. But a person who is born today and watches in 10 years' time, they're not going to see the uniqueness. That's
So-
not the mic. This is the mic.
Well, I've never watched The Breakfast Club.
Anyway, as I was saying,
Really?
Yeah, I've never watched it.
The movie night. We're watching it.
The Breakfast Club, like if someone watches it today for the first time, they're not going to have the same impact, feel the same impact of that book because that movie, because there's a million movies that come out
yeah,
similar.
no,
But like
absolutely,
the
yeah.
reason it became this classic, famous movie was because it was the first movie of its time which actually dived into a lot of different teen experiences in a time where teens, it was like taboo to talk about a lot of things that they discussed in that kind of isolated setting. That was that book, and it was awesome. Sorry, not book, movie, but and
We
book
know what you
probably,
mean.
yeah. So I think that was the same with the previous duology by Rachel Gillig. Like it was unique in its sense because it was one of its pioneering books.
Yeah.
And after that, we've got a lot of books that have come up of a similar genre, but nothing lives up. But that's with most fantasy. Like you try to compare it to the OG fantasy, and then you try to develop something else, and it always falls short of that.
No, it's true.
But yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
But yeah. So, Knight and the Moth, I think we were all going to read this anyway, regardless.
At some point.
Yeah.
But you read it first.
Yeah. Well, so, Alisha and I have read The Shepherd King duology. Jazzy has
I
not
have
yet.
your books, and they're on my cart,
Yeah.
and I haven't read them yet.
I will just say
You
those
had-
books, like those two universes, completely different, not
yeah,
related
yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
not at all. Yeah, this is completely separate. It's got that gothic romance atmosphere returning. Rachel Gillig seems to have a style, which I don't think we're mad about.
and what's
No,
this
beautifully
word for it? Like
written.
the purple prose writing style as well?
Purple Prose.
Yeah, apparently it's something like that. Let me find
Never heard
it.
of that phrase. You can look that up.
I will, yeah.
But yeah, I read this first when it came out. Like the week it dropped, I had my copy and I was like, let's do this. Because Shepherd King,
It is purple
beautiful.
prose.
It is. What's the definition of it? Because I've never heard of it.
So purple prose is known as like that. A lot of adjectives in a sentence, like it creates that rhythmic, bouncy sentence structure to it.
Oh, okay.
Like that poetic style of it,
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
flows kind of thing. So it's like you can say the same thing as like Jack walked through a park, or you could say Jack strolled to the luscious tendrils of the mosky grass. I don't know.
I get what
You get what I mean? So we'll add like 50 adjectives to make it more like poetically and beautiful.
I don't know if it's really adjective. That or the Goan flowers taste put him in a sour mood he carried with him through the day. I worked the wall, dreamed in Aisling, and was liberated.
Exactly
Da, da, da,
that.
da.
So that could
Like,
be
With
translated
the
to
breaks in it.
that or the ground.
I was trying to
The
find
taste of the flower. He did not like the taste of the flower. That's pretty much the translation for the first sentence.
Yeah.
And then
So,
I
yeah,
went
it's
about my
just-
normal day.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
But
didn't
instead,
even I didn't even read the other half of the sentence.
yeah.
That's funny. But no, yeah, definitely. I do find that when I read this though, I went in with the expectation that it was going to be great. Because even though the Shepherd King duology was Rachel Gillig's first two books that she's ever published, I was like, I'm going in with high expectations because I'm like, if it's not good, it'll make me sad. But I don't want it to be like that. And I feel like it delivered. I think I had no idea when I read it if it was going to be another duology or a series. That's just because I didn't know. I just didn't look it up. But when I got to the end and it was over, and I was like, wait,
What?
No.
No, it can't end like that, right?
Like, I enjoyed every single step of the journey, and then it got to the end and that cliffhanger, and I was so stunned, and I was like, I don't know what to talk to her about. No one else has read it.
Yeah.
And then I messaged these two and went, you need to read it now. You need to read it now. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited.
We've read it now.
And I waited. And then they finally read it. And I was like, finally! And then I'm like, I don't even remember. Like, I remembered, but like, I don't, like, what did I want to talk about initially? All that, like, excitement was still there, but I was like, I also just don't know. And there's certain things I've forgotten. But I still know, I loved it.
Yeah.
That feeling of when I finished it, I was just like, I was so incredibly in love with the book and the characters and the world and everything. And the gargoyle!
Oh,
Talk about a character. Bartholomew.
I can't even.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Loved it. I have nothing but praises for this book. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely things I would still question about this book, but I frothed it. I loved it. It's everything I wanted and more. And book 2, The Knave and something.
Knave, like knife? Or...
No, it's The Knave.
Okay.
It's pronounced The Knave
Okay.
and something. I can't remember what it's called. The Knave and something. Hang on, I can look it up. Someone else go while I look it up. I was just going to look at my pre-orders.
I think when I read this book, I very much read for like vibes, and I don't think I think too hard about what's going to happen. But then it's like, oh well, the diviners disappear, like they've finished their 10 years, and I was like, nah, they actually don't. They just get forgotten, and then they redo it, and then that didn't happen. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I was like, okay, she's going to be the next abbess, and she's going to be in charge, and that's why she had like the special tool, like had
I had the same thought.
And then that didn't happen, and I was like, okay. And then like I had like all these thoughts, and none of them really happened, which was, I think it's a good testament to like how plot twisty this is, like because things were revealed as you went.
Yeah.
And so it's like you had all these ideas, but what was going to happen? No idea. But it was written very well.
I do like the fact that we had a very similar train of thought.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. Nope. This is going to happen.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. Nope.
Even,
And it literally, the entire, like, not at one point was
Yeah.
I like, yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen. And then I kind of egged on to what was really happening with the diviners, and I'm like, oh no.
yeah, they get sent off to get like eaten, basically,
It's so weird.
because of the water in their blood.
Also, sorry, just to jump back on it, The Knave and the Moon is
That's
the
what it
sequel, so the second book in the duology.
No publication date yet.
I don't know. I've pre-ordered.
Oh, I thought you were looking on the grades.
No.
Oh, even the cover's not.
Oh,
out.
1st of September next year.
Oh, wow.
So we have like a whole 11 months.
Yeah, a long time to go. But yeah, so
Yeah, no cover.
Yeah.
it's just this at the moment. Cover to be revealed.
That's better than the on Goodreads.
Well, they just don't have anything. Okay, but it can't come out soon enough, and I need it. I need to know what happens next. But it really was just plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, and the whole Bartholomew thing.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. Did you see it coming?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
I knew something was going on with the gargoyles being linked to something else. I'm like, because they're not coming out of nowhere. They had to be coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
I can't remember
fact
what I thought.
that they were her favourite diviners, and she'd kept them like pets, and I was like, that's really creepy.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of came from the whole fact of they would have been all the ones with the chisel, because was it her original tool? Yeah,
it was the abbess's.
Abbas's original tool.
Yeah.
And I was just, but mind blown.
Yeah. Okay.
Alisha has other
You go.
thoughts.
No. I'm only going to
Sure.
stick to good thoughts first.
Sure.
No, I did. I liked the fact that, I mean, I did expect this, but I was very glad that that's the storyline it took towards, because when the diviner started to disappear, I had a feeling it's because she started to question it, and it was like a wipeout situation. And that was exactly what it was in its own way.
Yeah.
And that did break my heart a bit, because I was like, this poor girl who's like basically grown up with these girls that are her family. The only reason they died was because she was the first to be disobedient, and she was the standard set by the Abyss. And when she fell from that standard, everyone else by default was not good enough for the Abyss anymore. And they all had to go through a restart program. Which was just so disheartening.
Just with that, sorry for a second, wasn't it also coming up on their 10 years?
It was soon.
So it would have, like, it happened
Yeah.
probably sooner than intended, but I think it
Yeah.
was
But it
still
was-
coming up. Like,
It
it was going
was.
to happen eventually.
But it was because she broke the rule of she being the one to take that step in her own personal growth, that like, no, I'm going to break a rule. I'm going to, all these girls were going to go mingle with the knights and stuff. She broke the rule, and that's where the Abyss was like, well,
Okay,
everyone's got to
we're
go
bringing
now.
it forward.
Yeah.
Okay, because even the perfect one is crap.
If the perfect one is, like, it was like my army is only as strong as my weakest soldier kind of thing.
Yeah.
If the strongest one is the bar and that's fallen, then the other ones are just too weak to survive and comply with all the things that are going on. So yeah, that was sad. And that was something I like wanted to see happen, because I was like, that will have an emotional punch, and it did. The Bartholomew thing, also, I did see that coming, but again, I think it's because I read the Shepherd King duology not that long ago, and not that authors write the same thing again and again, and this was by no means similar, but it has a fairy tale flavor to it. There's a gothic fairy tale flavor to it, so I feel like I knew what to expect with like the fairy tale-y side of storytelling, and so I enjoyed it very full-heartedly. Is that the word? Wholeheartedly enjoyed the storyline of it. I just didn't like that Bartholomew was a funny, cute character, but he's so integral to the world building and the storyline. He's possibly the most important character, who's just brushed off as a side character for the most of the story, and his only real interactions are with Sybil. Sort of starts to get a bit more interaction with Rory, but I think emotionally speaking, I think it would have had just a much better like impact if Bartholomew was very like integrated with the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
If we had seen more scenes of everyone like starting to rely on him or like care for him as a child almost, it would have had like a much more, I don't know, I just didn't feel the impact of everything that followed with him, because I was just like, yeah, like who cares? Like none of these people care about him that way apart from Six.
But
So
I think with that, I kind of feel like though the reason he's kind of brushed aside is because he is just a gargoyle. He isn't really meant to be seen as anything of importance.
yeah,
Which is why for me, I found when it realised, well, actually no, he's probably is the most important. It's more of a shock value, because you were like, he's just a funny side character, he's a bit quirky, and then you kind of go, oh, holy crap.
yeah,
So I find that interesting. We had very different, like, you didn't find it impactful, but I found it very impactful.
but I think yes, you find it impactful from the shock value, and I don't know about like you can find it as you want, but I think from an emotional perspective, I think it just would have been like 20 times better if he was like a super integral part of like the rest of the storyline, because we would have been so connected to him as a character that like the idea of him going through this kind of pain and trauma would have like brought tears to our eyes, kind of thing. Like for example, take you haven't read One Dark Window and stuff, but The Nightmare, like the entire story arc of him, I was crying by the end of it in book 2, because he becomes such an integral part of the story and the characters with the story that's going on, even though he's like such an important part of the overall story that happens previously. Like this is just an example of this story, but I think that's what fell short for me with Bartholomew's storyline, that I was like, this is amazing, but I don't feel anything. And I don't feel anything because I don't care about him as a character, because he has no real like purpose in the storyline that was following, apart from just being the one that like is the most integral for the storyline overall, if that makes sense. That was my experience. Yeah,
it makes sense. I see it, but I just see it very differently, because I actually think I suppose in my head side character, I suppose everyone would see side characters differently, and I have a real thing with silly, funny side characters, and I fall in love with them very easily.
Yeah.
And even though if they're not integral to the story, I was like, I don't care, they're fun.
Yeah.
I love them. I'm happy they're here.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Yeah.
for me, when he started being this sassy, quirky character who said these sayings so wrong,
Yeah.
and was almost like mothering Sybil at certain points.
Yeah.
He's like telling her
100%.
to like, you know, take care of herself and to do this and to do that, and he's like, I'm gonna sit here and keep an eye on you, and like, you know, you'll be safe because I'm here, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I was emotionally invested.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, it's, I think for me, like, so
Yeah.
for you were just missing that aspect, but for me, I was so locked in with him, and that when it did happen, it did make me tear up, and I was so heartbroken, and I was like, I can't believe that's what's happened to him, this poor kid.
Yeah.
And it makes so much more sense why he's the way he is, because of everything he's gone through. And the whole part, actually, that reminds me, there's that whole thing in the beginning where he's like, you're my favourite one, I don't want to lose you.
I was just going through my quotes, and it's on page 75, in case you're wondering. And she's like, you know, like, tell me a story outside of Aisling. He's like, why? And she's like, well, you know, I'm leaving soon, and you'll have new people to come in, and, you know, you'll have new foundlings. And he's like crying, and he's like, but the abbess promised that you'd be the one to stay with me. And I'm like, that means so much. But I didn't realize it until I'm reading it now, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brutal.
She would have been the next gargoyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted just more from that entire arc, because I think that arc would have broke and made the book for me.
I was
but I
super
think it was
invested.
I don't know. I like the gargoyle scenes were funny, but that's all it was to me for most of the book. And like when I picked it, I picked up on that quote, for example. Like it's definitely on my Kindle. I was just like, I see where this is going, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I was
didn't
like, I'm waiting for that cry moment. But it just didn't come.
I agree with you with that.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cool to see from that perspective.
Yeah.
Coming.
Yeah.
A bit more down the line.
But I did like, so we meet the magical entities, the different omens, and I absolutely loved how each omen, like their power, whatever the balance of the power was with them, was also a reflection on her journey. For example, when she meets the omen, like related to the intelligence, she learns motives and discovers how Rory came to possess the art coins. Or like with the heart one, she that's where she starts to realize her feelings. With the strength one, she realizes and learns to channel her own ability, and she's put in a situation where she's the warrior. I love how those reflected the parallels of her own growth, and it wasn't like separate things. So that was really enjoyable. I did like that parallel quite a bit.
I love all of the way Rachel Gillig just creates her kind of mythology in both of her series. She puts so much effort and time into it that you could almost just feel, it almost feels like a real thing. Like you become so immersed, you're like, yeah, I can believe this. Because like she puts in so much effort and so much detail. And I really loved how each of the omens, while they were really similar in how greedy they were and how I suppose evil they were also so unique and different in their own sense. And because one of the things I find in some fantasy books, when you go through like a trial or
yeah, go on.
I don't know what you were pointing that
I'm
for.
pointing at this one.
What for?
I don't know. When you do the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, yes, but that's not the same. I don't even
Sorry,
know. I haven't gotten far enough to know if it's the same thing over and over again.
No, I was thinking something and you kind of just said it. I was like, sorry.
Well, it made me think of what was it? There was another book I read recently where they repeated. It was The Fallen and the Kiss of Dust. Nope, The Songbirds and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. It was similar where they went on a journey.
Of the bolognese.
Yes.
Basically, the characters go on a journey where they have to like do like a quest and they have to like do like collect things or find things, whatever. Yeah. And it became a very repetitive sequence. It's like travel to the place, find what you're looking for, fight through it to get to it, complete something so you get the object and then escape. Yeah. And it was like the same formula repeated. Yeah. And this could have very easily fallen into that trap because they have to go and face each omen to collect each omen's object to like, kind of beat the system or whatever. But each event, while they did do the whole thing of they travelled, they found the omen, they fought the omen, continued on. Yeah. It didn't feel bogged down by repetitiveness. Yeah. No, it actually felt like, so each time they met an omen, because each omen was unique and different, the experience with them was so different, the challenge was different, that it kept the stakes continuing to grow. Yeah. And I didn't get bored. Yeah. Because getting bored, especially in the middle of a fantasy book, can be a killer. Because if you get stuck in that middle ground and knowing I've got to do this again and again before I get to the next part. But Rachel Gillig, she does it so well. She, like, as I mentioned, it's a similar thing with it, fighting each omen, but it's different enough or exciting enough each time that it was just beautiful. Absolutely wonderfully done. Yeah, I mean, with the coin and the ink and whatever else that was used, like they were used for transportation or destruction or balance, and I really liked that I had like two sides of a coin situation, and that did remind me quite a bit of One Dark Window, which I really liked, because I was like, that's why when I read it I was like, this reminds me of One Dark Window, and you were like, how? And I was like, let me explain. Let me tell you why. So although completely different, but it was that
idea of balance that was so like on the nose, rather than like in a lot of fantasy books, like, yeah, there's always got to be a balance with magic, like it's an assumed logic at this point. But this was like very, very much like spelt out, very similar to the concept in One Dark Window, which I really enjoyed. Yeah.
I will also say, just with the magic system, I'm a big fan of simplistic magic systems because I find sometimes in certain fantasy books, if a magic system, I suppose you find it more in high fantasy. They have very complex magic systems which can take a bit to adjust, or it can take multiple books to establish the magic system enough that it makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you get to a fantasy book that takes magic, gives magic its limits, and also side effects, but it's so simplistically done that it's just a part of the world and you don't have to think too hard about it. It just, again, another one of those elements that it just makes me so happy when I read it, because it makes it such a more enjoyable experience, because you're not sitting there going, how does that work?
Yeah.
What's happening? Okay, yep, that works that way, but then what about this?
Yeah.
But you don't have that. You're just like, this is the fact, this is how it works.
Yeah.
That's all you need to understand. And you're not spending the entire book working it out. It's spelled out from the start. And you go, cool, done, this is how it works. Makes sense. And you don't have to then worry about it being confusing or getting distracted by it. You just get through the rest of the book and, like, it just makes it so much of an easier read.
Yeah.
And again, it's another one thing that I'm saying Rachel Gillig has just done really well. She did it great in Shepherd King, and then this one's also fantastic. And can you see a theme here with everything I'm talking about?
I think we can. I think I need to read the Shepherd King duology.
Yeah,
I think that's the theme.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. It's on the card.
I made my sister read it as well.
Oh, did she like it?
She loved the first one. She wasn't a massive fan of book 2, but that's fair.
I've seen that trend, and I was the complete opposite, which is crazy. I loved the second book so much more.
With the duology, I loved book 1. Like, I flew through it. And then got to book 2, and it chucked in multiple POVs. I'm personally not a massive fan when you start off with one point of view and then add point of views as you go. I'm like, if you're just going to do one point of view, do one point of view through the whole thing. That is generally my preference. But if you do multiple POV from the start, I'm happy to have multiple POVs. However, on occasion, there will be particular books where it does happen, and I'm like, it's done well, so it doesn't bother me. It's just a general preference. And so when I read Two Dark Windows, and we got...
Crowns.
Sorry, yep.
She wed it.
I
have something after you. Yeah.
Is that why you're feeling up my thigh?
No, I'm like,
you are married, remember that.
No, I was like, I'm waiting.
Very patiently. I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
But when I read the second book, when they chucked in the second POV, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Because before that, I don't remember the last time I had one where I went, oh, this is good. But then as I got through it and got into the vibes, I was like, oh no, I actually really like this, and I like these other characters, and I like their romance that's come from this, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, that was well done. I really enjoyed that. But then my sister, she didn't like.
But what would you do from the same POV in the second book? You can't really do much with that POV in the second book.
Well, no, for that particular story, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Yes. I do get that, yes.
Yeah.
But then also, like, you could, like, one option would be you could have followed just a different character, and it's their POV the entire time. Kind of like how we were talking about with Metal Slinger, how, like, the first book was from her POV, and we'd love to see book 2 all from his point of view.
Yeah, that's true.
That type of thing. But, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, like, sometimes I feel like, obviously, for this Shepherd King duology, that's very particular with the story, but there's plenty of other books you don't need to do that.
Fair enough.
But I'm like, if you want to do multiple POV, just do multiple POV from the start. Because why am I so... Because I'm so used...
Sorry.
I'm so used... Do you know, this is really fun. No, I'm not going to go on that tangent. Because we'll be here forever. But, like, I just...
waiting.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
You know what? Just move on, because I could go on forever about it. You go, babe.
I feel like I need to warn you about Brimstone. That's my whole point. Is Brimstone
Yeah, no, I know.
is going to be from the 2 POVs.
I know.
That was my whole point.
I'm well aware.
Fair.
Well, then there's also the same for Fourth Wing. She charged Chuck and Zayden point of views, and then the end of Blood and Storm, there was several different POVs,
But
and I'm
it
like...
used to be like... What, like bonus chapters. Like Luther's POVs were always
Yeah,
bonus
right.
chapters, and there was like an additional little sign up to the newsletter and you
And
get
it
this bonus
works.
chapter.
Yeah.
So those were fun.
Those I
But
don't
not in the
mind
whole book.
because you don't have to read them to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's never bothered me.
Yeah.
I'm all like the new edition of Quicksilver that has a bonus Kingfisher POV in it. Like, so those never bothered me. It's just, it was always
Same
more
with
these
Zayden.
days. I'm more open to it because I'm finding books
Well, I
I'm
need
enjoying.
Zayden's POV in the next one. Thank you very much.
Or if book 4 isn't like jump between Zayden and Violet the whole way through, I'm gonna be pissed because I actually want it in that one because it makes no sense without it.
Oh yeah, you want it, right? Yeah. I was like,
But also,
what do
we've
you mean?
had enough of Zayden's POV that it's not like unusual because
Yeah.
she just keeps chucking them in at the end.
Yeah.
But in my head, I suppose, when I just look at it, I'm like, if you're going to just do multiple POVs, why not just give it us the whole time? Like, why can't we just have
I
it
feel
the
like
whole
we've
time?
definitely gone off a tangent from Knight and the Moth entirely.
Yeah, we
Alright,
have.
do you want me to
So
bring
let's
in a
come back to
quote?
that one. But yeah.
I'll bring it back in. All right, I'm gonna read a quote. Don't know when it was from, but it's in the book. So it is
No context.
no context. It is their scarcity that makes them sacred. So the diviners, their distance that keeps them divine, but only the privileged can access them through divination.
Oh yeah.
Thusly, making the master of Aisling the most potent of rulers, and the cathedral itself the most prosperous of markets.
It's like when you basically
It's like shielding.
create a secret that isn't even true, but because it's a secret, it
Everyone
gives
wants to
power
know.
to the
Exactly.
words of it. Yeah,
Literally.
absolutely.
And so basically, it's like
Like
in
the
conclusion,
government.
it's like in conclusion, to rule the Tor is to rule the Trom, if that's how you say it.
Yeah.
But it's Trom. Anyway, to rule the
I don't even
cathedral
remember that one.
is
Oh.
to rule the kingdom, right? And so it's saying how the abbess is in control of everyone because she's taken the diviners and made them holy and sacred
Yeah.
and given them this power, which
Well, yeah, because it was the king's grandfather went against the diviners and he got slaughtered for it.
yeah, that's what I mean. So she's basically like
The
this,
king has no real power.
she's basically this
Stoned to
oppressor.
death.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't remember how he died.
But it's kind of very interesting.
Very biblical.
Really, it is.
True. When then like Sybil leaves and then she's out in the world, but she's just going about like what she would normally wear. So she's still in like the shift or like the little dress or whatever it is. She's still got the like fabric over her eyes, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a diviner! Like she's holy."
But that makes sense though. Like
No, it
that's
does.
what I loved. Yeah, absolutely. Like that what I loved was like her covering her eyes and keeping
Yeah.
her eyes a secret. It was like shrouding a secret that actually had zero purpose to anything at all in terms of divining and the omens and stuff.
Yeah, it was
But because it was
something
a
else.
secret, it was like there's something more mystical about her
yeah,
that makes her different to us, which is why
everyone,
let's
like,
worship
ran to
her. Because we love idol worshipping.
Maybe not us. But yes.
In fantasy, sure.
Interesting.
Not so
Yeah.
much reality.
But then it made it so interesting because she held on to that for so long through the book because she's like, this is just the way it is, right? Like that's what she was clinging to. Her
But she was also
after
afraid.
it's like
facing-
normal.
Even after facing off multiple omens, she was still like, nah, bro. Nah.
She's like, no,
She
like,
was
the
also
shroud
scared
stays
though.
on.
Like she's like,
Yeah.
what is my identity without the shroud?
No, literally. But then she was actually probably more vulnerable when she took it off.
Yeah.
with-
She's like, what
yeah.
will I regret what I lose even if I don't understand what it is I'm
Yeah,
losing
'cause
yet?
She didn't know.
But I think like
Yeah.
Sybil
It's
as
sad.
herself is honestly one of the most phenomenal main female characters
Yeah, I
because
loved it.
she
Brilliant.
learns
She's
the
brilliant.
truth of the disappearances and it was very heartbreaking for her, but
Yeah.
she honestly bore it with like such resilience. Like despite being shielded from the rest of the world, she explored so much, faced immense challenges without once whining or complaining.
No, literally.
And she never let her break
Breath of
her
fresh air.
confidence. Yeah. She faced everything head on. I absolutely loved how just bold and strong she was while she still maintained like her own version of femininity, and she was so true to herself. Like she didn't let once
yeah.
anyone else push her out of her comfort zone until she was ready.
Yeah,
Every decision of losing something or gaining something was through her own control. And despite being isolated from the world, she bore that confidence, and I really loved her character for that.
Yeah, she was really good.
Yeah.
No, she was brilliant. Which then also, let's talk about Rory for a second. Beautiful.
Go for
Rory.
it.
Yeah.
What a man! And also, I can't get over the whole friggin' armor molding scene. I thought something could be so fucking hot in my life.
It was
Covered in,
intimate.
like, candle
Let's say it was
wax.
intimate.
Or
Candle
bee
wax.
wax
Very
or whatever.
intimate.
Yeah, beeswax, yeah. Molding of the blood, yeah. When I read it, I was like, damn. I didn't take a second. I was like,
He hot though.
and a guy not afraid to wear eyeliner. Okay, it's a little bit more than eyeliner, but very, very hot. Sorry, that was what I wanted to
No,
say.
that's fine.
Don't want
Yeah.
to talk about like character development or anything like that. Just
No, but even with his
Damn.
character, like him wearing the black eyeliner, for example, I tried to look in like the cultural side of things. So, because eyeliner, the more like Middle Eastern and Southeast Asian version of it is called kajal, which is like a very like everyone wears it back home in India and stuff. Like it's a very well known makeup attribute, and its purpose, like both guys and girls wear it, its whole purpose is because it's so freaking hot. It keeps the eyes cool and keeps the eyes watered. So there is a
really.
that's the purpose of it. It
not cool.
cools the eyes. Obviously in this atmosphere it doesn't need cooling because I feel like it's a foggy, cold place.
Yeah, we live in Melbourne.
So I tried to think about it. I'm like, why? And this is what I'd written. I'm like, both men and women wear it traditionally to cool their eyes in extreme heat and humidity. It keeps it keeps it cool. And one thing, and all the brown girls, brown people will know in general, whenever you have like bad juju and things like that, you know how like you sage their house in some cultures and whatnot. In Indian specifically, you like it's like your loving person, like your mum will mostly do this when you're a kid. She'll like take like a bit of like kajal and put it behind your ear to ward off like bad omens, which was really interesting in this use because no, it gets even better. So the whole point of that is it's in Hindi translates to removing nazar. So that's the term for it. It's like basically say it's to ward off bad luck or evil omens, and it was incredible to see that detail woven in because I don't know if Rachel did that intentionally, but it added so much depth, especially since we learned that Rory doesn't believe in luck or omens, yet he still wears kajal, which is literally meant to protect him against them.
Yeah.
Well, because they use it in the what's it called, Hamlet that he was raised in. They wear it because it reflects the spirits they deal with, the tree spirits that they deal with in the forest.
Yeah, so it must be
And
bad
it-
omens.
Well, it's meant to reflect because it makes them look like one of them in the sense.
Human or something like that.
Yeah, so they're not identified as humans in the forest, which they attack. So that they use it to blend in and kind of protect themselves. So.
Yeah,
That's
so
very-
absolutely
very
could be. But I just thought because I mean I was coming from a completely different cultural background. I was like I have no idea if it's intentional or not. But it just like immediately spoke to me because I was like, Kajal, bad omens. I'm like, hey, hold up, omens. Come again? Huh? Yeah, it literally was like a reading. It was like while reading, like I translated like, oh, Buri Nazar means like bad omens, and then I was like,
Interesting.
yeah, and I really like that if that was the detail.
That's so cool.
Yeah, hopefully it is. That would be really cool, actually. But yeah,
If not,
I'm
Rachel
still
Gillig,
happy.
pay her some monies.
No.
Let her write her next book.
I think one of the last things we need to talk about, unless you guys have anything else you want to mention,
Good.
is this
I'll
plot twist.
mention later.
Yeah, go.
That plot twist at the end. Seriously. Oh, we haven't done it. I realised we didn't do it in the last video. Anyway.
What?
Spoilers.
that's
I keep forget we're not meant to do that. But anyway. But spoilers to the end of the book. So we get to the very end. They've fought all the omens. They've won.
Yeah.
Everything's all looking up. Boy King comes along, stabs Rory and goes, Sybil, you're my bride.
She's got that milk energy. What's
Yeah.
the brother got to do? What's the brother supposed to do?
I will say, I was sus of Boy King. I was like, something's not quite right about him. There was something there.
But for the whole book?
Not the whole book.
Okay.
But the more we went, and then there was that particular meeting where he's in the room with
other
three of the
dudes.
other knights, which
That's when I
one of them
realised.
doesn't like Rory. And I was just kind of like, nah, this is really giving me like red flag moment. Because I'm like, that guy's a douche. Not the Boy King. The other night, he's a douche. We don't like him. Why are you hanging out with him? And then I kind of doubted myself a minute. I went, nah, don't overthink it. He's a boy king. He needs to kind of keep everybody happy, and he's trying to like.
Because that's what he's like. I'm just trying to, have a good camaraderie.
Well, yeah, because he's
But that's what
basically
they're
trying to make up for because he's black. Obviously, he's now the king, but he's also trying to make up for what happened with his grandfather by making them believe he's like no, he's not like his grandfather. He wants to do the right thing, but he's also power grappling. By taking out the omens, so he can have he can actually be the king. King can take back the actual power. So it's not like because if you look at certain events like back in if you look historically, the church has a lot of power, and you could kind of say like the Aisling and the cathedral are like the church in this scenario. So like he's taking power back from the church, so that he's the top.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And that's kind of what his goal is. So he's trying to get everyone on his side, and he's using the people he needs to. And then even at the end, after he's defeated all the omens, well, the people of all the hamlets don't know he's done that or what's going on. So he's then got Sybil, and he goes, well, I can't let her go because I need you to finalise my control.
Yeah.
And so he turns against the people who have helped him the entire time.
Yeah, his best friend.
So it's like, makes me wonder... Is he doing this purely because he thinks he needs pure control? Or is he just a bad guy that's pretended to be a good guy this whole time? And I don't know what to think. Which is one of the reasons why I was shocked at his actions to stab Rory. Wasn't so shocked that he was like, I want to keep Sybil. Because that makes sense with everything that's happened. But I'm like, I feel like I've been lied to because he was made out to be like this really good kid who just wants to do the right thing. And he's like, is he an asshole or is he a nice kid just making tough choices?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I don't know. And I'm just like,
No, I get that.
this is another reason I'm like, I need a doctor. And
Yeah.
you don't, sorry, just last thing. It's just like, you look at that and you kind of go, okay, well, this is where we're at. Where the fuck are we going to go from here? I literally don't have a single clue. Like, I couldn't say, like, I kind of feel like there will be a little bit, obviously, like in book 2, like, Rory and Sybil, I reckon they're end game. So, like, he's going to come back and try and save her at some point. I feel like that's kind of an obvious thing. But what's the actual plot of book 2 going to be? Is it going to be about the boy king trying to solidify his control? Is there going to be fights? Is it going to be about overthrowing him? Or is there going to be more issues with the omens? Or is the omens kind of done with? Like, you don't know. I have no clue. Nada. You make your. I'm done now.
I don't know. No. I get you. I didn't clock that he was sus until that meeting with the old mates.
Yeah.
And I was like, something's going on. I don't quite know what it is yet. And then it turns around, and you're like, whoa. But I'm pretty sure, like, the only thing I kind of remember is at the end, and it was like either she, like, so Sybil's like, okay, I'll marry you, like, I'll go with you, but you've got to let them go. And so then they're like escaping out of like the wall in the cathedral because they've basically just ripped the cathedral down. Yeah. And so there's like, and then they're sneaking out. The gargoyle's like hurt, like wounded. Rory's wounded. The friend is there.
Yeah, the
The female knight.
She's
fine, but she's there, and so she's kind of like yeeting them out of the hole in the wall. And then I'm like, yeah, where do we go? Because I'm pretty sure she's like, don't look for me because he's going to kill you. Like, if you come back, he's going to kill you.
Well, the only reason he was going to kill them, though, is because he wanted Sybil's...
like, full...
Like, he didn't... He was basically, what's the word? Bargaining, like, he's like, either you come and marry me or I'm going to kill Rory.
Yeah, and so the only reason they're alive is because she's like, okay, I will. But then it's like...
So I actually think the only reason he killed Rory was to force Sybil's hand.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
otherwise she
He
was going
hurt
to go
her,
off.
yeah.
She was like, it's my time to live my life the way I want to.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen in the next book.
No idea.
No thoughts. No thoughts, just here for vibes. I
And
can't
then-
remember anything else.
And now for the woman with all the theories.
Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate again.
Do it.
I loved the Boy King. I loved his character so much. And towards the end, I loved it even more. And I thought he was suspicious, not because he's a bad character at all. I think he's the perfect king in that setting. I hated the first part where where Sybil ends up in the castle at some moment at the very start of the book when she leaves the diviners. Rory takes it to the castle, yeah. And there's just
they
an
have that.
info dump session, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is a convenient, like, yeah, you need to know this information going forward. Here's all the information. And I was like, that's so boring. But that's when I was like, okay, then he's got to be the bad guy. Because there's no way, like, you would use this kind of device in a story if it's not to lie to her, basically. So there's got to be a lot of holes in this story. So that's when I was like, okay, he's the bad guy.
That's when you're looking at it.
Yeah, so pretty much
Looking
from the
at you.
start, I was like, yeah, you're gonna make some interesting decisions. But also, I agree with every single decision he made. I can't fault him. So I think when it comes to the omens and whatnot and keeping Sybil, very strategic choice as a king. You absolutely should keep her. You absolutely should kill Rory because you don't want to leave her with the choice to run away, because that will be the one place where she goes. She will still defy you regardless of whether Rory's there or not. Injuring Rory was like the perfect solution to make sure that they keep that distance up until at least he can take control of the power. And I don't think at any point he wants to control the power. I think he just is really smart enough to understand, especially from his grandfather's experience, that power needs to be distributed some way. It cannot be lost. It has to go to something that people worship or something that people will obey to almost. And that was the diviner. She is still considered holy. She's the only holy thing left from the whole concept of it. So I think that distribution of power to her is just absolutely beautiful, and that's exactly what I wanted to happen. I was like, all this power that you're going to destroy, you're destroying what a civilization is, civilization's faith and trust and rules and obedience is built on. You cannot destroy that without replacing it, which cannot be yourself, because you've learned it from your grandfather. Replacing it with yourself just gets you stoned to death. At the same time, he wouldn't want that liability on himself to make I guess calling the decisions, because he knows he's going to make mistakes. He's just a boy king. He recognizes the limits of his abilities, the limits of his experiences, and that's why I really appreciate his character. I absolutely loved what he did with his character. I do think that I didn't like that he wanted to marry her. I think like you can still achieve this by almost like imprisoning her and making her like this secret to be idolized almost. Like I would go with like brainwashing her to the point like the Abyss did. Basically I have a similar reiteration of the story that she went through, and taking that a step further, but both of you know what the storyline is. Like he knows what happened to her, she knows what happened to her, so the mystery is gone. So you have to just dominate over her, imprison her, all those stuff, but create that illusion for society that keeps the society intact. And I thought that was a brilliant use of his character and the way he went about it. And I also think that I really liked that he did betray his closest ones, but it wasn't a betrayal. He made the absolutely like correct choices for his kingdom in that point of the storyline, and it makes sense. So I think the next story, I don't know where it's going to go and stuff, but I really like that ending and the way it went with his character. I fell in love with his character by the end, and I also want Rory to die at the end of the next book. I don't want him to survive the next book, because I don't think it's going to do any justice to her Sybil's character, who is our protagonist. I think his death is imminent and should happen, because that's the only way she can live a life at her own terms. And this has kind of been the theme of the book, where she's controlled from this emotional arc to that emotional arc, which is just not fair, and that's not the storyline that I want for her. I want her to be free. And I also think Rory would probably, or should, or I'd want him to, he would sacrifice himself to put an end to this omen bullshit, because he's always been against it, and he would happily sacrifice himself to let the boy king finally have the throne and control of his kingdom, because he wants everything good for his kingdom. He doesn't want anything bad for his own people. He actually does want everything good for his people. It's just the measures his grandfather took. He's scared that he's going to end up in the same fate, and he's like, what if I end up in the same fate and I have kids? I don't even have kids yet, but if I have kids and I end up in the same fate and they don't take forward this legacy like I did for my grandfather, so I need to do something different. His grandfather led with kindness and integrity, and he's like, screw that, I'm just gonna do whatever it takes to keep my kingdom safe. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's my devil's advocate right here.
That's fair.
I hate it sometimes when she's right about Rory dying, because it does make perfect fucking sense, and I hate that because I don't want him to die, because I love him.
I love him, and I have said multiple times that he would be probably like in my top 3 book boyfriends because he's the perfect character. But that part of why he would make the perfect top 3 is because he would be absolutely willing and open to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the kingdom, and that's something I really value when it comes to humanitarian.
Very similar
Use.
to Luther.
Yeah, I know. That's yeah.
On par.
Anyway, that's my thoughts about his character, and I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, what you're
Don't
saying-
be, because as I said, like, I hate that you're right, but you are right, and it is very,
Yeah,
it's what
it
makes him
makes
such a
sense.
good character.
But I really like when the Boy King was going through that. I'm getting teary-eyed for him because he's trying his best. I just want to give him a hug, and he had to literally like not only sacrifice Rory, who's his brother, but the other. No one remembers the soldier's name. My God.
No, I don't remember her. All I remember she was a female, she was the only female knight.
But she was his
When
mother,
right?
Yeah.
basically. He had to sacrifice his mother. He's making such difficult
He
decisions.
sacrificed what family he had left. and
Yeah,
what he believes
and
is
I
right
think
for his
it's
kingdom.
also like part of it was a selfish choice that he's like, if I have people that care for me and I care for them, and they, her name was like Gladrian or something.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I think it was a very, very strategic and emotional decision for him to make. To like, he needs to push away these people that he cares for and he knows that will like strive him away from the purpose and the decisions he has to make.
25th of July.
Yeah,
Was it August? Start of August.
September 5th.
We're waiting on.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I and that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why my rating went up a whole point, a whole star, because I had time to like when I write reviews, they're quite detailed, and that's why it forces me to sit down with the book and the quotes and think about everything, and it gives me that moment of reflection, which I really appreciate because I don't like the idea of just like reading a book and talking about how I felt about it and move on. Like, no, I need to interact with it because that's like what ticks the muscle of like critical thinking, which is what reading is for me at least. Like, it can be for whatever, but for me, that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
So, that moment was when the book went from a 1-star up. And I really loved his character and his growth and his arc, and I'm keen to see where it goes. And I really don't want Sybil to have a stupid ass love story with Rory at the end of it. Like, I'll be so upset if that's the direction it goes.
Well, I also think, looking at this book, I don't think it's a romantasy.
Well, it's got a pretty heavy romance subplot. Even if the
there.
romance is not driving the storyline, it's still like pretty big part of it.
Fantasy first and then
Well, no, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a fantasy book with a romance subplot. But I feel like, for me personally, romantasy, if it is a romantasy book, if you take out the romance, it doesn't work. Same as if you take out the fantasy, it wouldn't work. It relies on both. But you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need the romance between Sybil and Rory.
Yeah.
Because they could still just have a friendship and still... I suppose,
The book goes the same way.
yeah.
So,
I do think
So-
though, with this book, because it's a duology, I feel like we can't categorize it just yet because we don't know
that is
if if it goes a completely different arc in the next one.
okay. Well, from
Yeah,
this book,
yeah.
I do not consider it
Yeah,
currently a
fair.
romantasy.
Yeah.
But also, I think maybe the romance is there so that you get that shock factor of she can't marry the Boy King because she likes Rory. They're together, right? And they
Nah, I think it's going to be a shock factor in the next book when he kills
what I mean.
himself.
Oh, well, who knows? No, but like they finally.
Just sorry.
No, it's okay. But it's like,
No, Jazzy!
girl, let me speak.
I'm
a
sorry, I'm
moment.
kidding. Go on.
Like Rory, just like he's already denounced all his faith in anything, and his only like family is with the king and his soldiers, and he's like, but I'll leave them for you. And so because he's so dedicated to her, and we're like, okay, they're clearly endgame, right? And then with that shock of like, no, she's gonna be my bride, like that's like that doesn't make sense. Like they can't be the same thing. And that's why it hit hard, probably. Maybe that's why it was in there more so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know.
But I also
But I feel like-
when you
sorry,
have
yeah.
people in these type of situations, feelings are always going to get involved.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Like, and also think Rachel Gillig, from obviously, like, she likes her romance. You can kind of tell that from her writing. She likes those aspects. So, like, I don't think she'd probably ever maybe write a book without a romance in it. But also, you're dealing with adults, and that type of emotion and those type of experiences, they're going to bond you in a particular way. And so, coming out with nobody kind of romantically attached, I think, would be almost unrealistic in the sense.
I'm interested to see what happens with the marriage with the Boy King because I think that like breaks the illusion of her divinity.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a strategic choice by the Boy King. But maybe he did it just to push Rory away. Like, we don't know yet. But
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah.
I would imprison her if I was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Snow White kind of thing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I guess
Keep
we'll
her like an
find out.
illusion to people and only bring her out for a few occasions where she's heavily sedated and brainwashed.
Or like threatened enough that she complies.
Yeah.
Rory's in the cell if you don't behave.
Nah, I wouldn't keep Rory close
don't know.
by. I don't think
Yeah,
Boy
that's
King
just
would
asking
survive
for
him.
trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we don't know. I guess we'll find out. On the next
Boy
podcast.
King is smart, but I also think Boy King in the next book, I think what's one of the
Boy
things
King will stop
I
her.
kind of think may happen. Well, he'll have to be making choices, and he's going to have to be making smart choices. But I think some of his obviously choices aren't going to go well.
I think him
And
and
that's
Sybil
where-
are going to end up becoming really good friends and care for each other.
Yeah, I actually think that's possible.
Yeah.
That they will find she'll.
Yeah, fair.
Well, who knows? But that's the thing, right? Is as you said,
know.
there's no knowing because there's no hint as to what's
Yeah.
to come. All we know is that.
This happened and then the book ended.
But that was exactly like One Dark Window. Like, there was
gosh.
two complete different plots. No, I'm not joking. Like,
yeah.
when first book ends, you have like no clue where the second one's going to go, and this entire new lore comes up out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I'll let you know
That's
when
why
I
I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this book after the second book. The rating might go in like what's it called, much higher, just because I can't judge I can't judge one book of a series when I don't know the whole story, kind of thing.
Yeah. Quicksilver.
The thing is that the story wasn't the problem there. The story was fine. The characters
I have good
were
timing.
shit.
I have good timing.
You got in.
No, I don't think I can
Sorry.
put up with
Sorry.
the brooding and the fated mate crap again.
It's definitely better listening to the
But I
deep
do
dive,
think,
yeah.
like, of course, like, me judging harshly on first books, like, of course, like, this, like
Yeah.
that can't be a fair judgment of a book when the series is incomplete.
Yeah. That's tricky.
Anyway, I do,
Do you have anything else to share?
yeah.
Oh, because I think Sarah's ready to wrap up.
Oh, I thought we were done.
I do have one thing.
So you go.
So I wanted to talk about the title, The Knight and the Moth. I feel like that was like a very, very cool how she put the title, the moth,
Yes.
and how the parallels of the moth. So naturally, I did some research into why moth. So I think because I was like maybe 3 chapters into the story, and then I was like, why moth? And then I did the research, and then I was like, fuck, now I know who the 6th diviner is. Oh no. So that was not helpful. So don't do research until you finish the book. Anyway, I really like that the symbolism of the moth was like that moths are drawn to light, self-destructive, unafraid of death, and lacking survival instincts. Who does that sound like, Miss Sybil?
I wonder.
So similarly, Sybil sacrifices herself. The literal point of the omen reading is like you literally die and you come back to life, and
Yeah.
you're like, anyway, in my death, this is all I saw. So similarly, Sybil sacrifices herself repeatedly, divining for others at great personal cost. Like she's like a moth drowning, never able to swim. And I thought it was such a cool parallel, but I will admit that like I want to see a little bit more of that, like the symbolism of the moth, because it became such a huge concept even like towards the end. Like she could have done bats and stuff in the cave, but she stuck to moths. And I just want to see like why. Like was moths like, is there like just is it just a pretty gothic picture? Is there slightly more to it? Because the moth to me represents like death, but not in this form of courage, in the form of stupidity almost. Like following this stupid illusion over and over again to keep a semblance of power, sort of thing.
Okay, let's say final reviews and thoughts.
Do you want to go first?
And thoughts.
Yeah.
Look, I gave this a 6 stars.
Yeah.
Bloody fucking masterpiece in my head. This just book for me just kind of solidified Rachel Gillig is one of my favourite authors. Currently, Queen can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And while I understand some people have criticisms, they fall on my deaf ears. My ears turn off.
Fair.
But that's fine. Like everyone's gonna have different opinions. But overall, as I said, like I really loved this book. I enjoyed every moment. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. I loved the magic system. I loved the world building. I loved everything. It made me laugh. It made me tear up. It was just an emotional journey, and I cannot wait to see what happens with all these characters. If Rory dies, I will be sad, but sorry, Rachel? Wow. As Alisha said. I don't know why I said Rachel.
Hey,
Okay.
Rachel's like Kia, not like Kia.
That's not even Rachel. Oh, no, it is.
Oh, it's Rachel.
Bailey, leave my book alone, girl. But yeah, overall, yeah, it was just beautiful, wonderful experience. I will recommend this book probably forever. If you love fantasy, if you love magic, if you love kind of gods in your books, just all those type of things. If you love it, jump in and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm keen to see what happens in the next book. I will definitely be reading it when it comes out. I think that's kind of obvious.
Your rating.
My rating, 5 stars. 5 stars. I did really enjoy it. Ding, 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 ding. No, first Rachel Gillig book. I'm gonna read the Shepherd King duology at some point. Don't know when it's gonna happen, but it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it was very interesting having like the sheltered girl and then exploring the world. One quote for me to end on, which I thought was funny, when they first kind of met Rory and they went out and they went into the hamlet or whatever with all the diviners, and they were like, "Don't smoke all the idle weed." And then like the next the next sentence was like, "We smoked all the idle weed." And so it's just funny to see her coming to terms with what real life kind of looks like outside of the cathedral, which will happen in the next book because she's definitely can't stay hidden anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Initially, first read, 3 stars. But after review, 4 stars. Because I really enjoyed the review process of it. And it gave me a lot to think about. And I really appreciated that. Very excited for the next book. And this rating could change depending on the next storyline, where it goes, what happens. Because I think just something feels unfinished. But that makes sense because there's another book to go. But I'm very excited. I really liked Rachel Gillig's other books as well. And I really heavily analysed the crap out of the previous books that she wrote. So I'm very excited for that kind of like stimulation of my brain with her next book. I'm
excited for fantasy. She's excited for brain stimulation.
And I'm excited for vibes. And listening to the discussion.
It's so funny because I don't remember many quotes. Like I mean, it's been a while since I read it, but there's one thing that will always stick out to me was when Bartholomew would say that like, water. Sybil's very good at drowning. She's actually excellent at it. Yeah. And he says it as a genuine compliment. She's like, she's good at what she does. That's drowning. That's exactly what you do in water.
Sounds like such an insult. But he's being actually nice. That was actually one of my favourite things about him is he kept saying things like the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like he'd say a saying and everyone's like, that's not how you say that. And he goes, yes it is. And just walk away like, no, I'm not wrong. You are. Like,
yeah. But that was really funny. And I was like, you're not wrong, Daddy. She is really good at drowning. Go you. But, yeah.
So living, basically.
Beautiful. Okay.
That is
there you go. That is when the moon hurt?
What?
That is The Knight and the Moth from the Girlies That Read. High ratings overall. Yes. Beautiful. I think we can all say we recommend this book. Give this a go. If you're a Rachel Gillig stan, don't sit on this book. Don't sleep on this book. Get on it. Same with the Shepherd King duology.
It's on my list. I just haven't got to it yet.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed our review and discussion. Bailey's joined us at the end. She's clearly seeking all the attention. If you did enjoy us, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Because we like that. We like seeing the leave us some comments down below. Did you enjoy this series? Do you like Rachel Gillig? What you did like, what you didn't like, let us know. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. We do have a couple more coming up. Before we will be taking a short break for the next month. Maybe I think it's January we decided we were going to take a break. So we might have a couple of videos coming up for a little bit. But then afterwards we'll be back in the new year with some really fun and exciting things. But depends on how our recordings go. We might do another session, we might not. It depends on our schedules. Either way, thank you for joining us today. If you want to find us on any other social media platforms, you can look us up at these usernames. Find us there on Instagram, TikTok. Everything's on the link tree on our profile. So check out there if you want to. But otherwise, we will see you next time with another video. But until then,
bye.
Bye.